When you get behind the virtual wheel, are you rotting your brains, or are you developing a skill set that can be applied in real life? I'm sure there isn't a single gamer out there who hasn't heard "you'll rot your brains" at least once. I know I have. Granted, I've been around a while, probably a decade or so longer than a lot of yous, and video games have become significantly more accepted nowadays. But which is it? Can a game actually develop your motor skills, your literal motor skills? Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today Gameranx asks the question, do racing games improve your real-life driving skills? You go outside, get in your car, put in the key. Did it matter that sometime before this you played a racing game or not? And I don't mean within the last hour, I mean if you've ever done it. I'm sure there's more than a few different opinions on this, and as I alluded to in the intro, some of them aren't really that pro video game. Even now, in the future, a lot of people think video games are a useless thing to do and don't really help you in any way. And sure, you do have to kind of make an argument that sometimes you could be doing something more productive than playing a video game. That's a given. Life is like that. When you do things for leisure, they aren't always the most appropriately timed activity. But that doesn't mean they're useless. A Welsh Formula 3 driver by the name of Jan Mardenborough is 22 years old. The first time he raced on a full-size track was age 19. Now, bearing in mind that drivers all over the world usually start at age 12 or 13, age 19 is a little bit on the ancient side. But he wasn't some Dukes of Hazzard style hellion. This is Europe after all, they don't have hellions there. Believe it or not, Gran Turismo, the PlayStation game, is how Mardenborough learned to drive. He became rather good at the game, so good in fact that he started competing in online tournaments, and specifically won the 2011 European Gran Turismo Academy online competition. This is something that goes back all the way to 2008 and was made by a partnership between Sony, who owns Gran Turismo, and Nissan, a Japanese automaker. The winners in that tournament attended a race development course and were actually able to drive in a race driving Nissan's sports car, the 370Z. Now, the race was not entirely comprised of people who had won at the video game. There were professional drivers there, and the team made up of Mardenborough and 3 other GT Academy Awards winning drivers took 3rd place. You can probably guess how things went from there. He got a fair amount of publicity and is clearly driving professionally now. If you happen to be interested, the Academy's still going on, and there's more info on that on gran-turismo.com. But that's one guy, and it's one very notable case, and it's racing. He became a professional driver. We're talking about what happens to a person who has to drive like a person. Does a racing game help them? Well, a study from back in 2010 by the University of Rochester makes a compelling case that driving is one of many skills that video games help a great deal with. Now, driving wasn't directly tested by the University of Rochester, but various individual factors that contribute to being a good driver were. People playing racing games and action games made decisions faster and answered questions faster, literally up to 25% faster, not like a small amount. That's quite a bit when you're talking about answering a question or making a decision. And as far as accuracy and problem solving goes, these gamers were able to review information presented to them and make correct choices faster. On top of that, an actual simulation-oriented racing game teaches you a lot about how a car works. Teaches you about shifting, gears, gives you some idea as to how they'll handle, and depending on exactly how morbid the people are, could give you a pretty good idea as to what happens if you don't do it well. Couple that with the fact that fast-paced video games improve everything from your reaction time to your problem-solving abilities to your decision-making abilities, which isn't driving just basically a large amount of that? When you drive, you're literally just basically looking out for things that are going to make things difficult, and if they happen, essentially reacting as quickly as you can, making decisions, and solving problems to avoid getting hurt. Now here's where a little bit of game design comes in. A driving simulator is probably going to do a little bit more for driving than an arcade racer, for instance. Yes, an arcade racer will still encourage your brain to develop in the same ways any fast-paced game will, but often an arcade racer doesn't deliver the same amount of information. The cars don't often handle realistically or even that different from each other. And not that that's bad, it's actually great. There are some very good arcade racing games out there, but they probably only really offer some general cognitive improvement as opposed to directly helping you get better at driving. But a driving simulator, the more ground it covers and the more realistic it is, such as if you can afford a steering wheel controller, and if the steering wheel controller is good. I mean, although you probably shouldn't be out driving like a race driver, if you can be good at that, it's going to be easier to drive like a normal person. And let's not forget how many racing drivers use actual large-scale simulators to improve their own driving skills, which I'm sure 10 years ago, a large-scale simulator, other than the fact that it had apparatus that more closely resembles a real car, was probably less advanced than racing games are today. So do racing games improve your real-life driving skills? In a word, yes, they actually do. Is that going to be a selling point as you try to get your parents to buy you more racing games? I don't know about that. But it certainly doesn't hurt to be armed with that little bit of information that all fast-paced gaming experiences improve your cognitive abilities. And while playing a realistic racing game certainly gives you things that you can apply to driving specifically, it's certainly good that any fast-paced game can actually help you make decisions quicker and react quicker. The difference between being hurt and not being hurt in an accident is often when you press the brakes. I'm guessing if you play racing games, you're probably gonna hit them earlier, and that's good. To all the viewers out there who can drive, have you ever had anything happen while you're driving in real life where you thought, whoa, that was just like a racing game? And that can be good experiences, that can be bad experiences, just let us know. And if you can't drive, just tell us how much you want to and which car. If you enjoyed this video, please click like, and if you're not subscribed, now is a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every single day of the week, and the best way to see them first is a subscription. As always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero, and we'll see you next time right here on Gameranx.